Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome you all to a new League of Legends video. So with the preseason and season 6 coming up, ADCs clearly have gotten the spotlight when it comes to reworks, whether it's items or the champions themselves. And I figured what better top 5 champion video to make than to start things off with the top 5 ADCs currently. So the ADC role is definitely my second role next to mid lane that I feel comfortable playing. But even with that being said, I still felt like I'm missing something in order to make a justifiable top 5 ADC list for the current patch. So what I ended up doing was talking to a friend who's an ADC main in Master and Challenger ELO. I've discussed many things with him in regards to this video and really got his thought process on what the best ADCs are and why. So you can feel rest assured that this list is most likely quite accurate. There is also going to be an honorable mention at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that as well. But with all that stuff out of the way, let's move right into the number 5 spot. And starting things off is going to be Jinx. She has always been a champion that has been regarded as one of the best ADCs in the game. And luckily for her, that still hasn't really changed, though she did have to move down a few slots to make room for even stronger ADCs. But with that being said, she is still the hyper carry Jinx that we know and love. The new items on her are also very strong, just like they are on many of the other champions. But on top of the whole meta just really fitting Jinx and her still being able to snowball with her passive, having one of the best ADC type abilities being her chompers, her ultimate, and her passive, she also excels at destroying turrets thanks to her fast auto attack speed in her Q form. And since as of right now the towers are much squishier and die much quicker earlier into the game, she's able to destroy them that much easier and faster. The bad things about Jinx, however, and why she's put all the way in the number 5 spot is that she does take more setup than the other ADCs to actually get going. And in my opinion, she is a weaker version of another champion I'll be talking about later on into the list. But regardless, Jinx still being the very scary rocket launching ADC resetting extra speed moving girl that we always know and love. But moving into the number 4 spot is gonna be Vayne. Personally, I think this is one of the scariest ADC champions because she is just so hard to deal with, and if she ever gets fed and snowballs, well, she is just absolutely unstoppable. But to make things even better for Vayne, well, now she scales even harder because of the new items and just because of how much less defensive items that enemy opponents tend to buy nowadays. She is without question the best split pushing and 1v1 ADC champion in the game, being pretty much the assassin of bot lane. And combining static shift and rapid fire cannon along with her Q can be absolutely disgusting and devastating. Luckily for us, however, her laning phase is still very so-so, and there's many champions that can definitely abuse her and make her not come out as strong. And one of the main reasons for that is because she does have a very short auto attack range compared to the standard ADC. But another issue with Vayne that isn't necessarily the biggest thing is the fact that she does rely on items such as static shift for AoE damage or wave clear. But with all that being said, Vayne is still the deadly assassin ADC that we all know and love, or I guess maybe hate, and for the most part she is just simply a stronger version currently than she was before. But let's talk about the top 3 ADCs of this patch. And starting things off here is gonna be Lucian. So I don't have to tell you guys that Essence Reaver, when it was reworked, instantly the spotlight was put onto Lucian because it seems like this item was just made for him. Lucian is easily a spellcaster type ADC, loving to use abilities with an auto attack in between each ability as much as possible. So with that being said, not only does he eat up a lot of mana, but he also really relies on CDR, both of which Essence Reaver provides beautifully. He is still a lane bully because of just how much damage he can put out in a very short amount of time. He's overall very safe because of his dash and the potential low cooldown it can have. So within a team fight, you can be dashing around quite often and quite honestly be a very dashing champion. Another very good change that I honestly think they did this patch on Lucian is making his ultimate not scale off of attack speed, but instead just have a raw number of shots he will fire based on the rank of his ultimate. This puts him in an overall better place because he doesn't have to be snowballed in order to make his ultimate feel useful. Now, no matter how strong or how weak you are, I mean, his ultimate will be doing a good amount of damage regardless. So overall, it is just much more reliable and you don't need to build as much attack speed anymore. The cons of this guy is the fact that he still has that short auto attack range, so you do have to play very smart and aggressively, and you cannot siege as well as many other ADCs. That's a typo in the list. Following Lucian, let's talk about Misfortune, because oh man is she absolutely ridiculously strong. The beauty of Misfortune for me right now is the fact that she went from being probably one of the most underplayed ADCs last season to becoming one of the best and most played ADCs as of right now. But I mean, it is all for good reason. She is the definition of a lane bully at the very moment, all thanks to her passive and her Q ability doing an absolute ridiculous amount of damage if you use them properly. And one thing that's also really cool that I feel like some people may not be aware of is the fact that her Q, the second shot of it or the second hit of it, is counted automatically as a critical strike, which will be proccing things like Warlord's Bloodlust. Her E ability also has very high base damage that I think is actually quite honestly a little too high. But let's be honest, one of the biggest changes to the new Misfortune is her ultimate, because now it can critically strike. I don't know about you guys, but I've had teamfights where I've died solely to Misfortune, ult absolutely just wrecking my face, doing 1600 damage in the duration of the ultimate. It is absolutely disgustingly strong, and it can easily change a teamfight in your team's favor. And to top things off, to put the cherry on the cake, she also has a solid attack speed steroid on her W, which I think is very important for ADCs to have. Now the bad thing is about Misfortune, she has no hard escapes in her kit, so no dash like Lucian, no invisible tumble like Vayne. So jumping on her and killing her is a little easier than other ADCs, but she just does so much damage that by the time you even get to her, you're probably dead. And finally, in the number 1 spot, I have, I bet to many people, surprise, not Graves. Graves is going to be the honorable mention I'll talk about after Tristana, but in the number 1 spot, quite evidently, is Tristana. With the new item rework and how easy it is to get critical strike chance, just how overpowered static shit with rapid fire cannon is, and just the overall extreme hyper carry kit that Tristana possesses, she is an absolute monster. The only bad thing about Tristana that I can think of is the fact that her laning phase isn't as strong as maybe someone like Misfortune, but it is also not as weak as someone like Vayne, and Tristana is extremely strong mid-game and especially late game. She has very little flaws, so overall a good laning phase, very safe with her W and her ultimate, huge burst damage with her E, her W, her ultimate, insane attack speed steroid with her Q, among the best in the game, having one of the safest auto attack ranges in the game as well, which coupled with something like static shift and rapid fire cannon, that first auto attack you go in for the harass is gonna be ridiculously strong and you can't really stop it. The new towers again being much more vulnerable, Tristana is the queen when it comes to obliterating towers, so she can destroy them so much more quicker nowadays. And she is also the champion I was referring to back when I was still talking about Jinx, how there's just simply a better version. Overall, Tristana, especially with the new ADC reworks and items, is just a powerhouse who doesn't have too many cons. And she really is just strong throughout the whole game while also excelling at mid game and late game. However, with that being said, the cons of her is the fact that she does require a somewhat specific playstyle at times, because you do have to use your W, which is something most ADCs will not use offensively in order to get the kills and to get the reset. And if you misplay with Tristana, which is something that you can obviously do, especially with someone like Vayne as well, your ultimate can easily save people if you miscalculate or just use it incorrectly. But other than that, this is the definition of a powerhouse champion that has very little flaws, so definitely want to play her. And let's talk a bit about Graves, since I'm sure most of you are asking why the hell is he not in the top 5 spot? Well, after chatting a lot with the ADC player I mentioned at the beginning of this video, he stated that Graves, even though he is easily a very strong champion, isn't necessarily the best when it comes to specifically the ADC role. His auto attack range is too short and he requires a very precise and specific type of environment to make him work in the bot lane. And at the end of the day, when it comes to competitive play or even in solo queue, when it comes to maybe sieging down or just doing what an ADC will do, Graves doesn't really fit that role as much as he used to. He is much more of a bruiser type ADC now, it feels like, so you can easily play him top lane or even in the jungle, where I've actually been seeing quite a lot of Graves being played to success. But that is the main reason why he is not included in this list. He just doesn't really feel like he fits that ADC role as much as he used to. But again, that's not to take away from him as a champion. He is still disgustingly strong, strong, just probably a bit better when it comes to other lanes. But that is about it for this top 5 video, guys. If you did enjoy it, found it useful or informative or whatever, definitely hit that like button as it helps me quite a bit. Make sure to subscribe if you have not yet to check out my other videos as well. And let me know down below what you think are the best ADC champions at the moment. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you for the next one. Peace.